My name is Ladislav Walter Ostanek, okay? I was born in Duparquet, Quebec on April the 20th, 1935. My mother and father, both Slovenian, hard-working people. And my father worked in a gold mine in Duparquet, and they closed the gold mine, and we moved to Ontario. So he was a carpenter. Actually, he was a cabinet maker, and that's what he did all his life. And the thing is that we moved to Ontario, which was very good because up there's still nothing happening in Duparquet. And but what I noticed was my mother and father never smiled too much. They worked. My mother worked. My father worked. My mother had boarders, and like a lot of Slovenians from the old days had to compensate for a little bit more money. So the thing is, once a year from Noranda, Quebec, 2 French taxi car drivers would come, and they would bring, all together with the taxi drivers, there was 12 people, 5 in each car, and the 2 drivers, French drivers. And they would come to the house. Now, they would come probably on Saturday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I never seen so much happiness. They were drinking, they were eating, they were laughing, they were singing, they were dancing, and they had one guy playing a button accordion in the corner. So I'm there, I have no brothers, no sisters. I'm looking at, seeing everybody so happy. Right that moment, I said to myself, I want to play the accordion. If I can see people happy like that, that's what I want to do. I already made my mind 4 years old, okay? Now, we moved to Ontario. Well, I asked for an accordion. Well, I didn't get one until I was 9. And one day we were visiting on Sunday, visiting some friends. I lived at that time on a farm. And we were visiting some friends, and my father said, Vlado, you still want the accordion? I says, yes, Ata. He says, here, come on in. So I was playing with the kids. I went in. He paid $75 for that first button, four-row button in a box. So that's what I started. But at that time, we also had, my father had a partner in the farm. They were 50-50. And his name was John Yurman. But he knew how to play the button accordion a little bit. So he taught me a couple of lessons. And then I was on my own. And I started playing the accordion. No lessons, because out in the farm. And then we moved to Thorold. My father built a house in Thorold, and I moved there. And then I started going to school in a Catholic school. And the guys heard that I played an accordion. Well, I played the button accordion. So I'd come out and play with them, and they said, Walter, that's okay. But you got to talk to your father to see if you can get a piano accordion. So anyway, my father was, he worked hard, but my mother loved music, and she inspired me, my mother. And she used to sing to me, and, so she talked to my father, because they didn't have extra money, but somehow they paid $189 for my first accordion. And then, as I progressed, I started taking lessons. Then they bought me one for $325, traded the other one in. And then, when I started getting better, the next one, the professional model, was $1,350. He says, we got $350 for the accordion, trade-in, so it was $1,000 difference. And my father says, I'll tell you what, Lado, I'll pay $500, you pay the other $500. I was working a little bit part-time and all that. And he says, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to pay the other $500, okay? So that's what I did, and that's where it all started. Then I started taking lessons, and matter of fact, this afternoon, my friend, that we're good friends, he's an accordion player and I'm an accordion player, his father gave me lessons. He's my 3rd teacher, and his son is 2 years older than me. He's 88, but we're the best of friends. So the thing is that, and that's, so then I met, in 1950, I met Frankie Yankovic. Well, when I met him and I seen those guys playing, that I mean, I just had that get up and go. That's what I want. I want to be Frankie Yankovic, okay? And I met him, and he was nice to me, and we were friends till he died. And the thing is that, and then Eddie Habit, when I got married, January 26, 1950, February 22nd, 1957, we went to Cleveland, and we went to Eddie Habit's place, and he went to a bar, took his accordion, him and his wife, and my wife and I, and he played for me in the bar for my wife and I. So these are all starting, I got friends with all these guys in Cleveland, because in the old days, they didn't have the throughway. You had to go Buffalo right straight along the lake. And it took like 8 hours to get there. But now I can get it in 3.5 hours. I can be in Cleveland. So that inspired me. And then when I used to go to Cleveland, I was doing television shows. First time I was on TV, I went to see Eddie Habit. He had a new album out and he was on TV. He says, you're going to be doing something. Sunday morning, I played Saturday night, drove, and came in the morning to Eddie Habit's place. He says, I'm going to have a little surprise for you today. I says, what? He says, you're going to be on television. Ooh. So that's where it all started. You know, one thing after another, then with Frankie Yankovic and these guys and that guy and the other guy and playing with this guy. Well, I got so inspired that it was just wonderful, you know what I mean? And like over my period of, I recorded 104 albums and cassettes and CDs and whatever. I worked in a clothing store in Thorold, and I started with a Canadian Tire, and I quit there and I got into clothing. So then I was working in Thorold, and I got an idea for a television show in Hamilton. Now I was already, my band was playing pretty good, and we were fairly busy. So the thing is that I went to Hamilton and I met the program director. And I had one album out, and I had a little bit, I didn't do too much yet because I just starting, but the band was pretty good. Anyway, I went to him and I told him, this is what I have in mind. Well, he says, sounds like a good idea, but not at the moment. So I'm watching Tiny Talent on Channel 11 in Hamilton, which they still have it on now. But in the old days, the owner was doing it. And I called up his office. Now, I already was told that they're not interested, but I went and got in touch with the owner. I said, sir, I have something that I can maybe do for you that might be interesting. So I made an appointment with him and went to see him. I says, I can do you a half-an-hour show. I got the musicians and I got the crowd. All you have to do is supply an announcer and a place to do it. No charge for the first show. No charge. So we made an appointment for a certain date on a Sunday. I had the place packed. Everybody was happy. They're dancing. You know, we were happy, you know, because the thing is that we can play with no music, where a lot of bands have to have music to play. So we got the show. Now I went to the St. Catharines Standard. I says, look, I'm going to have a TV show in Hamilton. Can you give me a write-up? So he says, well, I'll check and see. I'll come next week and let you know. The guy that took the advertising for the clothing store every week for the St. Catharines Standard. So he comes back the next week. He says, well, no, the guy says that they're not going to give you a write-up. Nobody knows you. I says, okay, how much would it cost if you give me a half a page write-up and a half a page advertising? He says, next week I'll let you know. So he came back, a little advertising I had to have so many to pay for the whole page. I went to every store in Thorold, every business in Thorold, and told them I was going to have a TV show and I need a write-up and that, and would they sponsor me, which was like maybe $15 for that advertising. I sold my own full page. Okay, I was determined. They didn't want to give it to me, full page. And I had I still have it somewhere. I have half a page right up on the band with a picture, and the other half advertising, different sponsors that paid for it. Not one person, they didn't say that they wouldn't do it. Everybody agreed. So that's how it all started. Later on, when I was winning Grammys, I'm getting on the front page in color. You know what I mean? You know, so the thing is, it's a different story when you get going. You know what I mean? And then Yankovic won the first Grammy. Well, I had him on my TV show in Kitchener because I had a TV show in Kitchener. I was on 4 years in Hamilton, but 24 years in Kitchener. And now we've been on for about 14 years in Regina, Saskatchewan. But we're not doing any more shows, but they're still playing them because it's on cable company, yeah, Access Television. So I'm still there, and I still go when we can. Maybe in November. I'm booked for November, but we'll see what happens. So the thing is that I had a very, very exciting. I got overtime. I worked hard trying to get votes, and for Grammys, I was recording a new album every year, and every year I got a little bit more luck with I got nominated. I was nominated 21 times. So the thing is that, but I won 3 times. So the thing is, I'm second. I'm not the best, but I'm the second best. I even beat Yankovic. He only won 1. I won 3. So, and the guy that's number 1 he won 17. And so, and then they took the category out about 10 years ago. They took the Polka category out, and now there's no more categories. So that's kaput. But I was there when it was happening, and I had a wonderful time. My wife and I, we went every year to the Grammys. 19 times was in California, twice in New York City. I met all kinds of celebrities and wonderful people. And we went even when Yankovic got and you know, he got nominated again, and he never won. But the thing is, but we were friends right till he passed away. And he passed away at 83. But he was my inspiration that you have to have somebody exciting. You know, I just watched the other day on Slock when I was on, like I say, with him in Slovenia. But Slavko Ostanek, story on him, very interesting, and his son, and now his grandson. You know what I mean? And Henchik, I knew Henchik really well. You know, and when we went to Slovenia when I was 60 years old, I had Slock come over to my relatives. He came over and my aunt, she went bananas. She never met Slock, and here he come to the house, you know, and stuff like that. So many exciting things that happened, you know, and I'm still excited even now, you know what I mean, even though I'm kind of slowing down. But this is something that I have. I have thousands of pictures. I have all kinds of videos. So if anybody says to me, Walter, you're full of baloney, I said, I am. I'll show you the picture with that person. I mean, it was with Johnny Cash. I was with, you know, I was on the Johnny Carson show. I was on the Phil Donahue show with Lawrence Welk. I was on the Lawrence Welk show. I was with on Don Ho in Hawaii. You know what I mean? I was with Slock. Like I said, in Slovenia. I didn't play with Ostanek, but I was there. He had 2 bands for myself and Frankie Yankovic. You know, drinking champagne with Mr. Milan Kuchan. I said, and as I was drinking the champagne in his office, I said, if my mother could see me now, she'd be proud of her son. She inspired me to play the accordion, and you know, she was so happy for me. So my father kind of, you know, he didn't care, but he looked after me. I had a good father, so good father, good mother, yeah, and once in a while, not a bad son. The thing is that polka music, first of all, I don't like polka music. I love polka music. You know, the thing is that, like I said, I get so excited when I'm watching my old videos now, stuff that I did. Now, I'm not bragging because I'm not that kind of a guy, but the thing is that I played, when I was in my prime, I used to throw the accordion over my head and what we used to do, I used to lay on the floor and with my accordion and play it. Now I'm lucky to pick it up. But the thing is, there was a time when Yankovic never taught me anything other than being my friend and me watching what he does. But he always smiled when he was playing, always smiled. He looked like he was happy all the time. Well, I know for a fact he wasn't happy all the time. Neither am I, but I automatically learned it from him. People don't want to see a sad look on your face. They want to see you happy. How are they going to be happy if you're not happy? You know what I mean? So these are things that I learned, and one thing that was told to me, if you watch a successful person, you might never be as successful, but you'll always be a success. You follow a failure, and you're guaranteed a failure. So that's another thing that I learned by watching people, and some people I also learned not to do what they were doing. You know what I mean? And like, you know, you don't criticize your fellow musicians, you be friends with them. You know, that's the way you have to be. I try to be friends with all musicians. What really got the polkas going, not necessarily in Canada, but in the United States, and Cleveland was the hub for Slovenian music, okay, American Slovenian music. They didn't play like a European. They had more of they had a different instrumentation, because Cleveland style, you either have two accordions, banjo, bass, and drums, but the Yankovic had two accordions, banjo, bass, and piano. He didn't have no drums in the original, but he was the guy that actually made the Cleveland style polkas popular all over. He recorded Just Because, and Just Because was a country western song. But Johnny Pecan, who was his second accordion player, he wrote the second part, so they sang Just Because, and he sold 1 million records, Just Because. And then he came out with a waltz, and it was the Blue Skirt Waltz, which was a Bohemian tune, okay? The Blue Skirt Waltz was called the Red Skirt Waltz, originally, okay? So, the guy in New York wrote the American lyrics, the English lyrics, and the lyrics that he wrote, instead of saying the Red Skirt Waltz, he changed it to the Blue Skirt Waltz. Well, that was again another million seller for Frankie Yankovic. So he had 2 million sellers, one in 1957 and 1958. Two, and after that he never had another million seller, but he had 2 in a row. Well, that really picked everything. He was busy, he was all over the place. I mean, Canada, United States, he was busy, he was playing 7 days a week. When, after the Second World War, when the soldiers came back to the United States, well, they didn't think they were coming back. So the thing is, they were young, they were alive, they partied 7 days a week. Everybody, everywhere you went, everything was busy. People were happy, they were drinking, they were eating, they were dancing. You know what I mean? The guys, the women, the guys, everybody was happy. You know, it was wonderful. I went there, holy mackerel. How can you not be happy? You know, the thing is that those days, I used to play at the Heidelberg Club. I used to get 500 people If you didn't get there, we started at 8:30. If you didn't get there 7:45, you never got in. It was packed. People were young. Some people got married and got divorced and got married again, and they're still seeing me play. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm still at the Heidelberg. I started in 1959. I'm still at the Heidelberg. Now I'm not because there's nothing happening, but I still play twice a year at Heidelberg Club, which is 5 minutes from here. You know, so the thing is that it was wonderful. You know, like I can't even explain it. You know, like now, for example, I got married on February 22nd, 1957. But I started my band January 26th at the German Village in Niagara Falls. My second job was on the 23rd of February. Now I got married on a Friday, so I could have 3 days off to go on a honeymoon. 3 days. And where did I go? Cleveland, Ohio, and to get together with Eddie Abbott, so another polka guy. So the thing is, my accordion player that was supposed to, my teacher that was supposed to take my place, he got pneumonia. Calls me up Thursday when I'm getting married on Friday. He says, I can't make it on Saturday. I got pneumonia. I can't play. Now what do? I just started playing. I'm saying to myself, if I don't come back and play that job, I'll probably never have another one there. They're going to fire me before I start. So my wife and I stayed behind. We came back on Saturday. I played the job, so I had a good understanding wife too, to put up this baloney, you know what I mean? So I played the job, and then we went to Cleveland from there, you know what I mean? And then I had to come back a couple of days and go back to work. And you know, there was no going to Hawaii. It was Cleveland, Ohio, and that's the way it was. And you know, it was one thing after another, and he took us to a bar, and he played for us in the bar. We had something to eat and a couple of drinks, and I was happy as I could be. You know, my wife was happy, I was happy, and she loved music, so I married the right woman. You know, and you know, later on she helped me in the store, and so on. You know, but these are things that you have to have somebody to inspire you, and my first guy was Frankie Yankovic, you know, so, yeah, so, and like I said, and then later on, you know, I met all kinds of other guys and Canadian guys. I'm trying to think who the guy in Toronto is. He was also, you ever watched the movie called The Last Polka with the Schmingy brothers? No? Okay, well, if you get a chance, watch it, it's funny. But, so, like I said, I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I was on TV in this area. I was 4 years in Hamilton, 24 years in Kitchener, and we're more about 12 years now on TV in Regina, Saskatchewan. I used to go there and record, and recorded at the casino, and we used to do it in the Regina Casino. So, but it's, you know, everything comes to an end. And then I worked for Slovenian in Niagara Falls at Marineland, John Holler. Okay, he's Slovenian, okay, from Maribor. And the thing is, I worked for him for 31 years, for 3 months, every day, 7 days a week, playing polka music in the park in Marineland, okay? I also played 42 years at Oktoberfest in Kitchener. I played at the big arena, and I was there 42 years. And so, you know, but like I said, everything comes to an end, and that's the way it is, yeah. But I have no complaints. Everything is positive. Well, I mentioned that my mother was the one that inspired me. And the boarder that we had, they gave me a couple of lessons. He knew how to play Dai Srček Nazaj pod Na Planinca, okay? So that's what I learned, the first tunes I learned. And then my mother knew the words, so she sang them. So that's where I started, Na Planinca and Dai Srček Nazaj. And I'm going to be playing that for you right now.